A few short weeks ago, my family and I huddled around the TV in our living room to watch the crew of Artemis II begin their history-making 10-day mission around the moon. If you're a Gen Xer like me and my wife, you probably did the same thing we did as the rocket left the tower. You held your breath. Because children of the 80s know how quickly a historic space mission can turn into a disaster. That doomed 1986 Challenger shuttle flight is burned into our shared memory. It's seared into our generation's soul. So we watched the Artemis II launch the same way we've watched every launch since that fateful day. There was a slight sense of dread, but a whole lot of wonder, hope, and anticipation of what new discoveries this mission will reveal. Many years after the Challenger disaster, the space shuttle Columbia disintegrated during re-entry. At the memorial service for the Columbia crew, then President George W. Bush said this, quote, "This cause of exploration and discovery is not an option we choose. It is a desire written in the human heart. We are that part of creation which seeks to understand all creation." End quote. I think President Bush was right. And that's why we keep pushing the envelope, looking to explore further and further into the stars. It stirs our imagination, sparks our creativity, and fuels our sense of wonder and awe. You know, I've been inspired by space travel for as long as I can remember. And watching Artemis II reminded me that every mission is part of the same human story of exploration. And that's why my not-so-recent encounter at the Kennedy Space Center is a core memory of mine. And it might even be a driving force behind my life choices for the rest of my days. Oh my gosh. That's the sound of Europa Clipper launching into space on October 14th, 2024. And I got to witness it with members of NASA's social media marketing team and around a dozen other space enthusiasts through a program called NASA Social. And it was the coolest moment, one of the coolest moments in my entire life. Now, I know what you're saying. October 2024, that's been a hot minute. Why, Matt, would you think that Europa Clipper is even relevant right now? Well, my finely feathered friend, you're right. It has been a hot minute. It's been more than a hot minute. Shoot, it's been more than like 750,000 minutes. I dare Broadway to turn that into a hit song. Yeah, it's been a while. But I believe that focusing on this moment is the perfect way to launch a brand new season of this show. So what's Europa Clipper all about? And why does its mission matter? And what does this rocket launch have to do with a podcast? Well, I'm glad you asked, because you'll find it all out right here on the MattDanToddcast Podcast. Welcome back to the MattDanToddcast Podcast. I'm your host, Matt, a guy with 3 first names who's just living the dream. And I'm excited to be back behind the, what would you call this? It's definitely not golden. The plastic MDT microphone after a far too long hiatus. All right. So, first of all, what on earth is Europa Clipper? Well, first of all, I just told you, and you just listened to it. Europa Clipper isn't on Earth, even though it used to be. NASA loaded it onto a Falcon Heavy rocket and shot it into space. And as I mentioned before, I watched it happen. So, Europa Clipper is the largest planetary probe NASA has ever developed. When its solar panels are deployed, it's roughly the size of a basketball court. Europa Clipper is the first mission designed to conduct a detailed study of Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. But the route to get there is a little bit of a roller coaster. After initially flying by Mars for a gravity-assisted trajectory adjustment, it's currently heading back towards Earth. And later this year, in December, it will use Earth's gravity as something like a slingshot to give it enough energy to successfully hurtle towards Jupiter. And the plan is for it to reach that giant planet in April 2030. And it will ultimately conduct 49 close flybys of this moon, Europa. So, why does Europa even matter? Well, we've known about Europa for centuries, but back in 1989, NASA launched a probe called Galileo to Jupiter to study that massive planet and its moons. And it sent back tons of data, including information that led NASA to have Galileo conduct a total of 12 close flybys of Europa during its mission. Based on those findings, scientists believe that Europa, a moon that is slightly smaller than our own moon, may have a massive ocean beneath its icy crust. They even think that this ocean could be more than twice the size of Earth's oceans combined. So we're sending Europa Clipper to investigate. NASA has made it very clear, though, Europa Clipper is not searching for extraterrestrial life. There are no instruments on there to find ET. It's not equipped to find life. It is, however, on a search to see if conditions of Europa are suitable for life. I know. It might be nitpicking, but it's a small but important distinction. The idea of another water-filled world right here in our solar system is just wild. It unlocks a whole new level of imagination as you gaze towards the stars. What if other worlds right here, our neighbors, can actually support some type of alien life? NASA understood the sense of wonder associated with Europa Clipper's mission. So they commissioned U.S. Poet Laureate Ada Limon to compose a poem to travel with the spacecraft. The day before Europa Clipper launched, I, along with the rest of the NASA social participants, got to speak with many experts who have a connection with the spacecraft. And we also met the poet laureate herself, and she shared her poem with us.
In Praise of Mystery, a poem for Europa. Arching under the night sky, inky with black expansiveness, we point to the planets we know. We pin quick wishes on stars. From Earth, we read the sky as if it is an unerring book of the universe, expert and evident. Still, there are mysteries below our sky. The whale song, the songbird singing its call in the bough of a wind-shaken tree. We are creatures of constant awe, curious at beauty, at leaf and blossom, at grief and pleasure, sun and shadow. And it is not darkness that unites us, not the cold distance of space, but the offering of water. Each drop of rain, each rivulet, each pulse, each vein, oh, second moon, we too are made of water, of vast and beckoning seas. We too are made of wonders, of great and ordinary loves, of small, invisible worlds, of a need to call out through the dark.
Even though it won't reach Jupiter for years, Europa Clipper's mission is fueled by excitement and eager anticipation, and also 6,000 pounds of rocket fuel. So how did I wind up sitting in the midst of all of those experts and space enthusiasts and the poet laureate and getting to watch this amazing launch from the Florida coastline? I asked. Seriously. That's all I did. I just asked. NASA opened applications to the public. I saw it and I applied, and NASA invited me to witness history. And I applied because of this podcast. There was a theme that ran through season 2 of the MattDanToddcast podcast, and it was actually kind of unintentional. But as you look back, it was a lot of people pursuing their dreams, even with obstacles in their way. Carl wanted to create a locally run pop culture convention, a place where people are welcoming, accepting, and encouraging all who attend. And PopCon Indy was born. And it has become a mainstay in downtown Indianapolis for the past 13 years. The next convention is May 8th through 10th, 2026. I'll be there. My daughter will be there. I hope to see you there too. My friend Katie wrote a book. And then she wrote another one. I'll link to those in the show notes on my website. My friend Angela stepped out in faith and has been guiding organizations in leadership and team building. Rachel founded the Joshua Center, a place that supports healing and hope for children and their families. My buddy Creed gave a presentation, a history presentation at the National Baseball Hall of Fame. And Abby has a beautiful vision for her community right here in Indianapolis. Sure, there have been obstacles, and the odds might have been stacked against some of them, but they didn't let that stop them. Astronaut Mike Massimino, in his book Moonshot, a NASA astronaut's guide to achieving the impossible, says, quote, 1 in a million is not 0, end quote. Just because the odds are long, it doesn't mean things are impossible. There are plenty of sports metaphors that I could use here, right? Kurt Signetti accepting a job to coach the losingest team in college football history. Team USA, the hockey underdog facing a powerhouse Soviet team in the 1980 Olympics. The University of Maryland, Baltimore County Retrievers, a lowly 16 seed taking on the heavily favored number 1 seed, Virginia Cavaliers, in the men's college basketball tournament. Of course, you know how those stories turn out, right? In just 2 short years, Coach Signetti led the Indiana Hoosiers to a national championship in the most incredible turnaround in all of sports. Team USA defeated the Soviet team, and Al Michaels ended the broadcast shouting, "Do you believe in miracles?" Yes. University of Maryland, Baltimore County dominated the Virginia Cavaliers with a 20-point victory and became the first ever 16 seed to defeat a number 1 seed in the Division I men's college basketball tournament. In each instance, the underdogs could have looked at how incredibly long the odds were and not even bothered trying. As Mike Massimino says in his book, quote, "There is always a chance as long as you try. But once you give up, you know the outcome with certainty." Maybe I'm being selfish, but I need to hear that from time to time. I need the reminder to keep on pursuing both my tiny and my big, huge, audacious dreams. And maybe you need to hear that too. So a lot has happened since I abruptly ended season 2 of the MattDanToddcast podcast. I still had big plans for the show, including an episode or 2 about the Europa Clipper. I also had some really fun interviews lined up. But then my dad died. And my wife and I traveled overseas for an extended amount of time. My oldest son got married. I celebrated a milestone birthday. Oh, and I also completed a very rough draft of my very first novel. Now, that's a lot to pack into 17 months. And I really wasn't sure if I'd ever come back to this podcast, but there's just something that just keeps pulling me back to this show. And I'm sure it's because of the great and inspiring stories I get to hear and share with you. And when you think about it, 17 months really isn't that long between seasons. I mean, we had to wait nearly 3 years between Stranger Things seasons 3 and 4, and then we had to wait another 3 years between seasons 4 and 5. With that in mind, 17 months really ain't that bad, is it? So I am excited to say we're back. Welcome to the launch of season 3 of the MattDanToddcast Podcast. There are a lot of cool conversations lined up because I know you don't just want to listen to me yammer on all the time. So buckle up. It's going to be a fun ride. Thanks for listening today. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite platform and go ahead and give this podcast a like too. I hear that does some good. You can find out more information and all the show notes for this and all of my episodes at MattDanTodd.com. Ada Lamone's reading of In Praise of Mystery, a poem for Europa, was recorded by me during our NASA social meetings. The accompanying background music is Jupiter, Bringer of Jollity by Gustav Holst, performed by the United States Air Force Band, available through public domain.